Let us execute an immediate sweeping analytical vector shift away from near-death cognitive flatlines, weaponized memory recovery sequences, and the seaside serial killer networks of high-concept speculative thrillers, and plunge straight into the high-octane, calculation-heavy tracking grids of multi-layered domestic alibi networks, weaponized sisterhood pacts, and the fiercely protective, dangerously fragile world of an elite circle of scorned spouses running a raw tactical survival loop. We are crossing the threshold directly into the hyper-monitored, deception-slicked perimeters of an exclusive collection, exploring the lethal analytical parameters of an intense, trust-shattering deception matrix with the Ex-Wives Club, the exceptional, pulse-pounding psychological thriller masterpiece engineered for Amazon's Alibis collection by the absolute undisputed sovereign of complex family chemistry, dark domestic statecraft, and high-velocity emotional suspense, Sally Hepworth. This high-stakes narrative tracking sequence delivers an exceptional look at an operational crossroads where a fierce, deeply determined primary female asset running an unyielding safety loop, a calculating, manipulative mutual ex-husband running a high-stakes proximity tracking and asset stripping routine, and an absolute defense of a joint counter-offensive network collide at terminal velocity. Let us map the strategic narrative grid. If you are an elite enthusiast of high-octane, slow-burn psychological thrillers where an endangered, hyper-observant female protagonist must navigate an absolute maze of rigged divorce settlements, corrupt legal gaslighting, and a deadly ring of active financial frame-ups while running a blind survival loop inside a completely compromised domestic ecosystem, where an analytical mind uses deep behavioral profiling, calculating mutual alibis, and absolute emotional stamina to outmaneuver an invisible predatory executioner asset, and where the author utilizes an incandescent group of ex-wives form a secret alliance to protect one another from the same manipulative husband, only for a fatal betrayal to compromise their shared alibi grid, diagnostic routine, to test our hero's structural limits, this book is engineered to lock you in. Hepworth completely dominates the high-precision scorned spouse alliance meets suffocating murder investigation perimeters dynamic, capturing the heart-racing intellectual momentum, suffocating domestic paranoia, and heavy deductive depth popularized by genre varsks like Gillian Flynn, Leon Moriarty, Lucy Foley, and Liv Constantine, while treating realistic legal loophole logistics, complex multi-perspective alignment arcs, and protective high-density psychological extraction grids with absolute technical mastery. The narrative tracking grid zeroes in on the highly volatile, calculation-heavy baseline of our central legendary powerhouse assets, operating under a severe calculation-heavy handicap of shared historical trauma, intensive legal non-disclosure constraints, and a hyper-visible targeting canvas within their mutual ex-husband's personal database. Behind the women's rigorous daily routing footprints, secret support meeting logs, and tight communication perimeters lies an intricate matrix of hidden faction allegiances, deeply buried high society friction, and sharp, high-stakes tactical maneuvers. Their collective defense mechanisms are locked down tight following a series of highly volatile, catastrophic marital extractions, their entire analytical focus strictly consumed by monitoring sudden threat vectors from an encroaching hostile legal team, parsing complex behavioral shifts from their shared social circle, and shielding their vulnerable independent financial nodes from being entirely wiped out by a ruthless elite cleanup offensive. The spark ignites when an unexpected high-frequency structural anomaly breaches their active scanning perimeter. A critical legal shift or sudden hostile action by their mutual former spouse threatens to fracture their individual security grids, transforming their quiet post-divorce loops into a high-level calculated malice. To survive his escalating financial and emotional onslaught, the women establish a dark calculation-heavy defensive alliance, a literal club designed to build airtight synthetic alibis, execute stealth counter-surveillance operations, and permanently neutralize his leverage. The official diagnostic metrics of the global tracking centers flash white-hot when a sudden, unexpected fatal incident targeting their tormentor places the entire alliance under an intense police spotlight. The standard boundaries of routine domestic settlements and peaceful civilian compliance protocols crumble, and our central protagonists run completely out of standard diplomatic escape vectors. They are thrust directly into an active, invisible war behind the closed doors of a high-stakes murder investigation, where a highly manipulative system handler, suspicious detective assets, and a calculation-heavy psychological shadow network launch aggressive countermeasures to find the crack in their shared data stream. The tactical parameters instantly explode as their historical and survival warfare turns completely active, transforming the sleek suburban coffee shops, quiet legal chambers, and private fortified residential rooms into a volatile psychological pressure cooker and a physical battle zone. Our protective, hyper-vigilant heroines are forced to deploy their massive intuitive tradecraft, elite behavioral mapping skills, and raw emotional stamina to preserve their focus before their adversary's relentless, calculation-heavy proximity containment phase permanently deletes their boundaries. The threat vector remains purposeful and resolute, determined to deploy deep digital extortion loops, continuous psychological gaslighting, and persistent dominance to shatter their defensive pact, only to realize the club's hardened survival protocols and shifting counter-narratives match their opponent's raw tactical speed step for step. Every midnight archival excavation of hidden asset accounts, every silent choice to stand off against an encroaching adversary behind standard architectural barriers, and every intense moment of channeling raw, unyielding survival mechanics chips away at their reliance on original peaceful rules. What follows is an exceptional, high-stakes war of perspective, tactical position, and raw human grit. We watch the high society elite's deceptive perimeters completely unwrapped as Sally Hepworth reveals that the true victory requires more than just surviving an initial marital betrayal or managing a difficult legal disclosure. It demands an absolute, uncompromising defense of individual dignity, personal truth, and systemic survival against a cold, calculating machine of domestic manipulation and narcissistic supremacy. While our central characters smooth over each other's psychological and defensive blind spots with devastating analytical force, creating a fiercely protective, absolute web of dark possessive loyalty around their shared perimeter, a brutal series of close-quarters tactical confrontations and high-stakes evidentiary breakthroughs shifts the clock into its terminal phase, proving that deep-seated secrets have tracked them to their final outpost. To survive the impending locked grid trap and permanently secure her sanctuary, our resilient protagonist must unyield an absolute defense of her final boundary lines. It is a psychological thriller, domestic suspense noir, secret alliance mystery, high-velocity contemporary puzzle masterpiece that treats deep relational logistics and intense structural friction with elite precision. The tension here burns with a sharp, calculation-heavy intensity. We are talking about that high-frequency, one-shattered alibi timeline triggers a fatal interrogation room showdown energy, where a sudden pause during an active franchise tactical briefing, an unexpected shift in an adversary's protective physical posture during a high-stakes standoff, or a heavy, possessive realization that an elite intelligence operative has completely mapped your personal coordinates carries massive structural weight. Hepworth writes with an exceptionally fresh, vivid, and beautifully blunt voice, perfectly capturing the heavy, oppressive atmosphere of a private executive vault before a major corporate takeover, and the distinct, subtle scent of polished mahogany, expensive perfume, high-end white wine, cold adrenaline, and pure, unadulterated suspense. What truly elevates this contemporary short-form masterpiece into elite territory is the author's unmatched ability to balance complex, high-stakes relationship dynamics and genuine protective power tradecraft alongside a breathtaking narrative pace and deep emotional hooks within a tight collection format. Our protagonists don't rely on unbelievable superficial Hollywood superhero action tropes. Their immense situational intelligence, strategic patience, and profound survival instincts match the complexity of the chaotic modern corporate and high society underworld they dominate step for step, making their choices to risk everything feel profoundly authentic and deeply gripping. The pacing moves with calculated momentum, tracking intense conversational standoffs and breathtaking tactical breakthroughs before ratcheting up to an absolute jaw-dropping conclusion that delivers total hard-earned advancement to their horizon. The Ex-Wives Club is the definitive pro-level upgrade your high-stakes contemporary thriller and intense asset suspense library demands right now. It is elegant, immensely fast-paced, and utterly unputdownable. It proves that when your entire sanctuary is targeted by a cold, calculating institutional monster, the most revolutionary play you can execute is to lock your perimeters, trust your elite survival training, and fight like hell alongside your network to rewrite the data. So, secure your personal reading sanctuary, review your emotional defensive perimeters, open your Kindle, and prepare to track the fleet.